All right. Should be live. Let me make sure everything's okay. All right. Let me send out the notification. More. Okay. Yo, what's up, viewer? How's it going? Okay. Sig Etterman and I are apparently trying to figure out whether or not the server is working for the mod that I'm making. Because I guess he has a server set up. So we're trying to figure out if that's actually working. I suppose I can show you my screen, although there's not a whole lot going on right now. Like that. I think that should have switched. Yeah, there we go. Oh, snap. Okay. I'm noticing something interesting about the leaderboard. The leaderboard's a little bit wonky. What happened? What happened to the leaderboard? Let me increase this so you can see it. Is it using two different sizes? Interesting. Okay. Yo, what's up, Sigenderman? Welcome. Yeah, the leaderboard. I apparently am behind by 117 minutes, or is that hours? Seconds, minute, hours. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on. That is not a good time. I would assume not. Okay, if I reset here. Nope, it did not work. Okay. I don't know what you did to your leaderboard then. Try reconnecting. I mean, it shouldn't matter. It should be the exact same. Oh my word. Okay, yeah. It's exactly the same thing. If you enter a new save file, then it should fix the leaderboard thing. I don't know why. Trying to figure out why that would happen, but that's not like, I didn't really account for the fact that people could potentially have a difference of an hour or more. So yeah. Weird though. Oh, I think so it might be because did you so like it's kind of weird when it's at the very beginning, but that probably means that it took you 117 hours to exit the first level, or like to enter either AO 1.1 or AO 2. I think is what that means. Like if you go out into the level select and go into a different level, it won't clock that. But because it's like the very beginning of the game, you specifically have to either enter AO2 or AO 1.1 in order for it to like trigger the very next checkpoint. And so I guess it took you 117 hours in this save file to actually enter one of those levels. Do I need a clean save? If you start a new clean save file, then it should update properly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, never mind. Now apparently I'm ahead. Okay, because I have to start a new save file as well. Hang on. Okay, there we go. Now it's good. Yo, what's up, RGC? Yo, RGC, how was your stream? Your development stream? I wanted to watch, but I completely missed the notification. I'll restart the server. Yeah, restarting the server shouldn't do anything. AO star, yeah. So like, because technically, you could, when you exit AO1, you could either go into AO2 or all the way into AO 1.1. The next checkpoint, you know, isn't either one of these two levels in particular, because you could technically do either one. So it's like, it just is AO star until you get to AO5 and then it updates. Because there are two different paths that you can take. It was okay, only lasted 30 minutes because I got bored. Oof. Sorry to hear that. Okay. Interesting about the leaderboard. I don't really think that that's I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that that's a problem I'm willing to fix. Because if this, again, this whole mod is meant specifically for racing. If you're doing a race and you are somehow an hour or more behind somebody else, I feel like at that point I feel like at that point you're just trying to break things. So I probably am not gonna mess around with that, but that's kind of funny. Is the timer just rip? So it goes based off of in-game time. So like, as long as I'm in a level, it's not gonna update, but as soon as I complete the next level, then it updates. Low priority problem, we can fix it later. Never. Exactly. 100% runs? How long are 100% runs? Hang on, let me look at the leaderboard. I mean, besides the fact that nobody's going to do a 100% run with this mod. Okay, so 3 people have ever submitted a 100% run to the leaderboard. 2 of them are under 2 hours. And the third one is 6.5 hours. I feel like it's okay if I don't if I don't add the hours to the leaderboard. Found out a few days ago that somebody bought the rights to a game I played as a kid and is rebooting it with minimal changes aside from re-enabling the server that shut down in 2020. Yo, nice. What game is that? Yeah, so if I beat the level, it's going to compare the times that it took us to get to, like, this level, right? So I'm in AO5 right now. It's going to take... So it stores the in-game time that was, like, that was you at the time that you entered AO5. And then it does the same for me, and then what gets shown on the leaderboard is the difference between those two. Just because that's like, it's kind of the only reasonable way to display the differences when you're going based off of in-game time rather than like the time that packets get received. Just because the way that we're starting races is like somebody counting down in a Discord call or something, and so not everybody starts at the same time. And so if you want like the actual in-game difference between everybody's times, then there's a little bit of a compromise there. So it looks weird if people are like either very, very slow or they started significantly later than others. But I wanted the leaderboard to be based off of in-game time, and you kind of have to. There's not really a perfect solution for that. So naturally, the first thing I'm doing after buying the early access for said game is reverse engineering the save file and making a Python library to generate worlds with code. Naturally, of course. Yeah, the first thing everybody does when they buy a game. I don't think I see you on the map. Should be AO5. I'm considering making a basic programming language that compiles to it. Holy. The game was called Blocks World? Blocks World? Interesting. Oh my word, what in the brain rot? There are so many advertisements on this website. Okay. Wait, is it with an S? Is it Blocks World or Block World? I think I typed in the wrong thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Blocks World is very different. Okay. Interesting. It almost looks like it almost looks like one of those like Roblox type services. I don't really know what to call it. Game engine. This looks cool though. What if you added a built-in countdown that would work? Would that work? That is, where is it? Race start countdown. That is on my list of things to do. Don't pay attention to the things that'll crash the game. Just pay attention to the new the new stuff. It's empty. Check if you see me. What level are you? You're an A16. Which one is A16? I never remember. Yep, there you are. Depending on which version you have, or what game version are you playing in? Are you playing in 2.12? Because if you're playing in 2.12 and you don't have the latest version of the mod, then you're not going to see me because I'm in 1.42. So you might have a version of the mod that is not version compatible or like cross version compatible. If you're using the latest release, that does not have the cross version compatibility. If you pulled in the latest beta branch and built the project yourself, then it should have the version cross compatibility. Ads. Why did I just get an ad for Universal Park right after someone was showing their camera in a theme park in a VC? Twitch is watching. I mentioned in that VC wanted to go on roller coasters at some point since I'd never done it before, and of course I get an ad for a theme park mere minutes later. That's kind of wild. I don't like roller coasters. I'm not a huge fan. Would this work on mobile emulator? Maybe, but probably not fully. I think there are some features that I'm using that technically don't work on iOS, but if it's an emulator, I don't know. I know there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing that's not compatible if it's like the web version of the game, or like if you try and build the game for the web, it won't work. But I don't know about mobile. Does it matter server side if it's not the latest updated version? No, the server should be fine either way, because I haven't changed the layout of the packets, which the server basically just relays. I mean, it does a little bit of stuff to like calculate the leaderboard, but I didn't change the packet layout, so it should work the same. I'll try running the speedrunner version. Okay. I need some help. So I would love to work on either one of two things today. Selecting the racer in the spectator view. So like in this view, right? I can like move around, zoom in and out. I would like the ability to like click on somebody's name, potentially on the leaderboard. That's where I think the best place for that is, but we could change that. I think it would be cool to click on somebody's name and then have like the camera follow them around. Now, in the last stream, I did all the math and stuff to figure out the camera movement, but I didn't add a way to actually like select who you want to follow. So we could do that today, or we could do this de-jittering thing. So if we decide to do that, I might have to pull out my laptop, because you can only really see it if there's like actual network stuff going on. But basically, if like I'm running to the right, if I'm just holding right, and somebody else is very close to me and they're also holding right, they will appear to like jitter a little bit. And it's like, it's kind of noticeable when you're just doing like normal gameplay. It's not like super obvious, so I haven't been super worried about it before, but yeah, in that one particular scenario, it's like very obvious. So we could try and work on that. The other thing that I need to do is, currently, in order to customize your snail, you can pick from a bunch of colors. And it has been requested to expand this so that you just have basically an RGB slider, so you can like create your own colors for each of these things. Now, I don't really think there's enough room in this menu for that, but I hesitate to make this menu any bigger because we've got the F1 menu down here. Like, there's a little bit of room that I can expand here, but it's mainly like the leaderboard, because technically the leaderboard at its biggest reaches quite far over, and so there's not like a whole lot of room to work with. I mean, now that the F1 menu is a little bit smaller, because I could get rid of the or I condensed the port and IP buttons into a single button, so there might now be enough room vertically to put a bunch of sliders. We could do that, honestly. Either way, I don't know. What do you guys think? I realized I asked that question and then closed the game. It probably would be easier to make that decision if I hadn't closed the game. So let me pull this back up. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Perfect. I'm glad you're on my side, Literate. Can always count on you. I'm a bit out of the loop regarding the mod. Does it only work on the campaign or also custom maps? So currently, as long as 2 people are in a custom map at all, they will appear on each other's screens. I mean, depending on the origin point of the room, they might look like weird, but basically, you don't have to be in the same custom level in order for both of you to appear in the same room. Because technically, all custom levels have the same room ID, and that's what's being checked to see whether or not other players should actually get drawn to the screen. So it kind of does work for custom levels, but also not really. Because, like, if you're in 2 different campaigns, then you'll show up even though you probably shouldn't. And if you're in, like, different levels of the same campaign, then you'll also both show up. If you're in the modern version and you go into, like, the area up here, I don't know what that's called exactly, but, like, chapter F, that's technically custom levels. And so, like, if somebody's in an actual custom level and some other person goes into chapter F, you will both appear on each other's screens, which is kind of funny. So I'm using the beta from last week, but it's also doing the SRV record thing. So the official releases on my GitHub, they do not have the cross version compatibility, and they do not have the SRV lookup. Those are, like, brand new things that I have not made a release for. But the branch itself does have those updates. So if you wanted to follow the instructions in the README and build the project yourself, then doing that on the beta branch, you will get those features. RGB values or slider. So you'd have, like, I would imagine one slider for the red, one slider for the blue, one slider for the green. So you would have 3 sliders basically. Also, here are the menus again, and I can turn up the leaderboard opacity here so you can kind of get an idea for the size. I feel like the top left, other players and leaderboards text can be smaller. So you're thinking, like, I just lower the maximum that the leaderboard scale can be? I definitely want to make use of this vertical space here a little bit more. Like, the problem is I can't make the menu too big, because otherwise then you wouldn't be able to see your snail as you're picking the customization options, right? Which I feel like is kind of an important part of it. Then why is it working? Like, why is it using the record on the old version? What do you mean? It 100% does not have any kind of DNS lookup on the old version. That's just, like, straight up not, like, you read the post that I made in Discord. Like, GML can't do that. At least not the particular setup that I'm working with. And the code that I had to write to make that happen is not part of any release. Like, I literally finalized that code last night. The ones in the menu? Oh, like the text up top? We could do that. Like, my hesitation is, like, especially the word leaderboard. Because, like, right now, are these even the same font size? Customization, draw. So, like, this text other players is 0.6 at a scale of 0.6. All this other text is at a scale of 0.5. What about leaderboard? Leaderboard is also 0.6. So there's like a 0.1 difference in scale between the text leaderboard and opacity and background opacity, or like any of this other smaller text. So like if I made this text smaller, then I don't know, I feel like it gets hard to read. Like, there's a lot of space over here, but if I make the word player smaller and then move everything up, I don't know, I feel like then it kind of throws off the whole grid thing that I've got going on here. But I don't know, maybe it's worth it. I was being stupid, ignore, okay. I think the menu needs some reorganizing. I definitely agree. I just don't know how. Right? Because, like, we've got these, like, 3 major sections, right? You've got the 3 sliders for the leaderboard, the 3 sliders for other players, and then you've got 5 different colors and some button to edit the player's name. So, like, I thought we could potentially lay it out like vertically, so have like, you know, leaderboard, other players, player, and then have all the values to the right of that, or have all of the inputs to the right. But like, I don't know if there's really enough space for that, because like even this layout, there's you know, all this unused space, especially up at the top. I just don't know how to make use of it. Because, like, sliders, I don't know, maybe I make the sliders vertical, but that feels wrong. Because, like, the text is always going to take up more horizontal space than it does vertical. So I feel like it makes sense to lay out each individual thing vertically to make use of that space. I don't know, maybe I do just make the word player smaller and then I can take up more space up here. It might look strange, but like, I don't know, maybe I kind of have to. The sun outside my window is getting brighter and darker. I could make some rough sketches. That would be cool. I could definitely use some help with this. But, like, I need 3 sliders for the leaderboard, and I need them to be labeled. I need 3 sliders for the other players, and I need those to be labeled. Like, this edit name button could just be, like, a small little thing up here that's basically like a little pencil icon. Like, it doesn't have to be as big as it is right now. I just did that because all the rest of this stuff fit in a relatively small space. But yeah, if we want to go with the, like, cause the other thing that we could do is, like, have your your name color, and then just have some kind of pop up, and then you could type like a hexadecimal color into this field, and then it would turn that into an actual color. So that way it's only a single button. But like that feels bad, right? Like anytime I have to make this pop up, it freezes the game. And if you have the game in full screen, then you have to like tab in and out of the game, and it's such a pain to have to deal with these kind of text boxes. But yeah, like this menu used to be like basically overlapping with the bottom of this, so there's definitely some space here. But like the idea with the spectator view was that there's like a button just to the left of all the players' names. So like I can't really expand this horizontally, otherwise those buttons would get covered up. There is also the idea of just like if you have the F1 menu open and you hit F2, I could just forcibly close the F1 menu, and then that way we could make the F2 menu take up a lot more space. And then obviously I'd have to like prevent the F1 menu from showing up again. So like I could make these two menus be exclusive. You're only allowed to make one of them show up at a time. But I don't know how much I like that idea. That could be smart. Yeah, it was something that I was considering like when I was very first making the customization menu. I just don't really like the idea of like forcing this menu to close, because then there's also the thing of like I don't know. I think the best way to approach that is like if one of these two menus is open and the user hits the other button, then whatever menu was open automatically closes. So like if I have F2 open and I hit F1, then it would automatically just toggle. And then same thing if I hit F2, then this one would just go away. Maybe that's not bad. I mean, how much room do we have? Like, I could probably fit all of this stuff like down here underneath. Because right now it's basically in the center of the screen, right? So like you can see, I mean, right now the camera's a little bit zoomed out, but if I like, if I'm like right here, right? You can't see the snail anymore. So like if I do extend it farther down, I feel like I would have to squish it so that it's very skinny, so that you can at least see the snail. Also, the other idea that I had is if I make this menu absolutely massive, I could just draw a preview somewhere else on the screen. Squid, please. We're trying to design here. Realistically, the connection one doesn't really need to be open all the time. True. And like you definitely don't need both of these menus open at the same time. I mean, it would be cool if you could, but maybe it's worth it to force that to not happen. You know, because like Phi Racer draw. Give me like this. What happens if I do this? You're just gonna equal 500. 500. You're just gonna equal 1. Oh, there's all this other stuff there too. Ugh. It's annoying. Just as an example. Oh, this is like, ugh. I don't need that. I don't care about drawing the name. So all that stuff can go away. I don't know. Let's see what that does. Is it gonna get mad at me here? If it loads. Is Stone Kane from the Amazing Digital Circus? Probably not. Other racer name scale. I don't need that. Where is that being used? Right here. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Go away. Nah, Kane's not as good at coding as I am. We're clearly different. Or Stone Kinger? Maybe. OBJ Racing customization to Other Racer. Where am I using Other Racer? Oh. Other Racer House Tilt. 0. Okay, we'll get this eventually. Other Racer shell color? No. No. What do I even have here? What do I have access to? I do have access to this racer. Other Racer. What the? Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. No. This racer. Oh, is there? Oh, there is. Match whole word. That, what? Match whole word. Okay, there we go. Yeah. just replace this with this racer. Because I cannot be bothered. Okay. Nothing found. Phenomenal. Just what I asked you to do. I see the perfect resemblance of not only computer science, but also chess. There might be a correlation. I cannot confirm nor deny. Okay. Level offset? Where's that? Ugh. 0. This is 0. You don't need to worry about level offset. Level offset is such a complicated concept. You don't need to worry. Don't even worry. You are Kinger. I found him. When's the final episode supposed to be? I know there's gonna be like a huge thing. They're like trying to get theaters involved and whatnot. Okay, so the eyeballs are maybe a little bit in the wrong spot there. But that's kind of what I wanted. Bro just got exposed. What if I enter a level? That didn't really work. Okay. I see. Let's just do this. I don't know, plus like 16. Not, that's way too many. Plus 5. Okay, these are not at all the right variable names. But this is just for the sake of testing. I don't know, we'll go 8 for I2. I think the Y value is wrong. I don't know, this should look interesting. June for theater, then June 19th YouTube. Gotcha. Ads. Unfortunate. Okay, there are the eyes. I'm back. Welcome back. June 19th. Okay. Yeah, so the eyes, that's probably about where the eyes are supposed to be, right? I mean, that seems right. That seems right. Okay, let's try like plus 8 minus 5 here. Minus 5 plus 16, something like that. I mean, like, this code is very specific to drawing other people, but I just copy and pasted it so we can draw an example Shelly on screen. Excuse me. That's like almost right. I have to, why do I have to add so much to the X value? 32, we'll go minus 10 here. See where that goes. I love the trial and error. I feel like it's the best way, you know? You just gotta try stuff, see in what way it doesn't work, and then eventually you'll get it. Okay, so that's maybe a little bit too far. That's a little bit too far. How high up are Shelly's eyes? They're like basically at the same height as the shell. I mean, they're a little bit shorter. They're a little bit shorter. So let's go. I don't know, let's tack on another 5 and then see where that goes. And then the X value for this eye is maybe a little bit too much. Let's try like 26 or something. What do you have there? Eyeball. What you got over there? Have you seen that? Still a little bit too far to the right. You see that trend where people will like pull out magnifying glasses and like look over people's shoulders on the train or something? Subway is probably a better word. Okay, that's a little bit too far over. Dude, how was I so far off? What the heck? I tried 16. At 20, I guess? Try 20? Also, can I make it slightly bigger? Spectator view scale. 5. No, not 55. That's a little bit too much. What if I make that 5? Should in theory be 5 times larger now. Let's see what happens. I think so. Your comment reminded me of it. Okay, we're huge. This is awesome. Now all of my offsets are not good anymore. So let's maybe multiply them times whatever this spectator view scale is. I'm like internally cringing at the fact that I'm using the wrong that I'm using these variables in this way because they're named completely wrong. That's a little too big. I humbly disagree. I think it's the perfect size. Honestly, Shelly needed it. Perfect. Wait, is that actually like the exact offset? Did I nail it? 20 pixels, I guess. It was exactly right. All right. There we go. Now I can edit the I can edit Shelly. Still in the wrong location on the screen, but you know. It's average, she said. I wanted it ultra big. Okay, I got you. Hang on. Let's move it into the exact middle of the screen. So that's what the X is going to be 1920 on 2. The Y is 1080 on 2. And then we'll make it, you know what? I mistyped it earlier. I typed 55 and then I got rid of it. But let's actually make it 55. Let's see what happens. Shout out to PowerShell for being for being an ass about script. I'm sorry. All right, there we go. So now if I change Shelly's colors here, perfect. This is what you wanted, right? Just a small amount of trolling. I made, oh, you know what? I actually don't have, I don't have Stonebot up. Let me, because I made a script earlier for it. And then I completely forgot to actually do it. Okay, there we go. Stonebot should be online now. Shelly took over, oh no. Okay, so probably not 55. Let's go with like a cool, I don't know, what's your favorite number? A cool sup 10. We can try 10. I want to see what this looks like first. I mean, that's pretty good, right? That's probably a good preview of the colors here. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, so now we can take up a lot more space if we want to. Because we could potentially just put this like off to the right somewhere to where it's still underneath the leaderboard, potentially. I don't know. Do we put it in like the very bottom right? I mean, I suppose first we should probably implement the whole like Squid, shut up. The whole, you know, toggling between these two menus. Probably. That might be a good idea before I go too far down the rabbit hole. Okay. So in that case, let me bring up the network manager here. And this is the code that toggles it. And then the customization menu. This is the code that toggles that. So I could basically just say, so this is what? This is the raising customization. So I can basically just say like, network. Actually, what do I have? What do I have for the racing customization? What is in this create event? I've got this racer, but I don't have the actual network managers. Let's do that. Var network manager equals instance find. Dude, my microphone wire. Obj network manager. If network manager is equal to no one, or network manager dot visible is false, then we can go ahead and toggle it. But we only really care about that. So if we are currently visible, we are perfectly fine with turning ourselves invisible. And then we can just exit. So now at this point, we know for certain that we are not visible yet. So we need to check to see if there is no network manager, which there should always be a network manager. So I'm actually just going to get rid of that. So if the network manager is visible, we need to force it to be not visible. And actually, I don't even need to check this, right? I can just force it to be invisible. And I can say are visible is equal to true. Was I overcomplicating this? Probably. But that should work, right? Only one way to find out. Okay, so if the network manager is not visible, then I can just toggle this no matter what. If it is visible, then turning it from invisible to visible will turn off that menu. And I can't click any of the buttons or anything. Okay, so now we do the same thing in here, except we do custom racing customization instance find. Actually, do we already have a reference to this? Just put some random number in there. We should already have a reference. Maybe not. No, we don't. Okay, never mind. I'm dumb. Sorry, just trying to remember code that I wrote like 10 months ago. It wasn't that long ago, but you get the idea. Racing customization. Okay. Grab that. Put it there. Let's see what happens. So I built the beta, but the patched game straight up does not seem to have the mod. The patched game straight up does not seem to have the mod. I don't believe you. Let me... Okay, so now, yeah. So if I press F1, I can just toggle that menu. If I just press F2, I can toggle that. If this is visible and I press F1, it automatically switches. If this is visible and I press F2, it automatically switches. Okay. So I can switch between those. They are exclusive. Let me try again. Okay, here. Let me show you. So have you run the setup scripts? Or script, I should say. Eyes, perfect. Okay. So then if you run the build script in the output, it should just have the .win file. Like you shouldn't have to apply any kind of patch. It should just be there. Yes. Okay. Okay, so then you put this into the game folder and you rename it to data.win. And that should be it. Yes. I'm not sure what's going on then, if that's not working for you. SIG is trying to get the latest version of the mod, which I have not released yet, so they're trying to build the project themselves. But that should be everything that you need. I'm not sure why it's not working for you. Like I can, here, let me copy over this code that I just changed. Excuse me. This is network manager. Network manager. Put that in there. This needs to be OBJ. Racing customization. And then, I keep clicking the wrong thing. This is racing customization. This one. OBJ network manager. And then the other thing that I changed, I didn't change is create. I changed the customization draw. Customization draw, okay. Why? Okay, I think those are the only things that I changed, right? Right, you guys remember all the code that I changed, right? That was it? This draw, yeah. I didn't change that draw. Okay, I think that's it. So I'll go ahead and close out of this. Okay, so if I'm, you know what? I'll just start from scratch. So if I'm here, I've got nothing in my Steam Will You Snail folder. I go into build game, and then you can pick your version. I'm in 1.4.2. You can copy over these game files. Then when you run the build script, you go into output. You grab the corresponding win file, pop it in there, get rid of this old data.win, rename this to data.win. And you can just run the exe, you can run it from Steam, or you can, you know, open it up and run it from here. And as soon as it opens, I did it. I was stupid. Okay. If I may ask, what happened? Okay. if it's embarrassing, you're fine. Oh no, my code didn't work. Okay, well. Oh, I forgot to build. Forgot to build it. Hang on. Python build mod. Yes, please. I messed up that thing with the dir of the mod data. Oh, okay. It is rather particular with the directory of everything. It does take a while to build, unfortunately, because like logs, if I go into here, yeah, you can see it's importing all of the sprites for the spectator view, which like you can see the speed that it's moving at. It's not very fast. Okay, and now it like immediately imports all the code and compiles it. Like the speed at which it imports these sprites is so slow, and then everything else is just like instant. But okay, so that should be actually built now. Eat that one, rename this, close this. No, I don't want to save. Okay, now it should have the changes that I just made. I did it and I connected. Sweet. If you want me to try connecting, I can do that too. Where is your message? Here it is. Okay. Oh. That's probably not good. What did I mess up? Okay, I think that was probably it, right? Okay, let's rebuild. It's a little bit that it's a little bit annoying that it does that. When it imports everything, it like adds that prefix, which I wonder if I can mess with that, because I completely forgot how I did this. This was such a pain to get working. I don't remember any of it. Yeah, Gmail object. Do I have anything else? No. So it just automatically adds that prefix. That's kind of annoying. Yeah. All right, whatever. It built. Hopefully this should work now. Hopefully. Okay, yeah. And now it toggles between the two. I know you don't know what buttons I'm pressing, but I promise it works. Okay, so now if I put your thing in, hit connect, I should be connected. I do not see your name. Turn me red. Shelly is so funny. I probably need to put it in the bottom right corner, right? Give me the draw. So make this like 1920 minus like 100. This can be 1080 minus 100-ish. See what happens. Okay, I don't see you anymore, Sig Enderman. So I'm gonna close that. I don't know what was going on. Try. Okay. Still nothing. I see. Because the origin point is in the middle of the snail. I mean, the server is up. I mean, did you change anything about how it was behaving before? Because if we're both connected, we should both be showing up on the leaderboard. Okay, let's maybe, before I get too far, let's maybe rename a bunch of this stuff. So first things first, we don't need these functions at all. Those are completely useless. We can make like a scale thing here. And then other racer X, we'll just say preview X, preview Y. The server is the exact same. Okay, give me a second. I changed the variable names, so now if I open the customization menu, it'll crash the game. So I just won't do that. I'm gonna have to recopy the name here. I think I copied it. Boop. There it is. I don't know what happened, but now I see you. Look direction. I mean, that's always one, right? We don't need to worry about that. We can just pretend like it's 1. So this is now preview X. Let's do a search for that so it's easy. Okay, so this is, whoops, wrong key. It's now preview X. Hold on. What if we race to sub 13? Miranda Pierce. I'd be down. I mean, it would mean that I wouldn't be able to work on the mod, but you know. Okay, so this is scale. Let me actually call this preview. Preview scale. Preview scale. And then we can just like, I don't know, we might just like, I don't know. Okay. Preview scale, spectator view scale. Let's do a search for that. Holy. Okay, I don't know if there's a find and replace thing. There might be, which might make this a little bit easier, but you know, it's probably fine. Whoop. Okay. We would be there for ages. Yeah, but you know, we would probably have a good time. Now I should be able to see you on the map. Okay, let me enter a level then. Do you see me in AO1? Yo! Yo, let's go! Sweet. So the... are you on the modern version? This took longer than expected. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Or like the modern version of the game. So like 2.12, I think it is. Because if so, then that means that the version compatibility... No, you're on Speedrunner? Okay. That's fine. But hey, at least at least the beta version is working. Okay, house height, that's just always going to be 1, so I'm going to yeet that. Guys, what's 1 divided by 1? Okay. We are clamping the value 1 between the value 0.8 and 0.5. I think that is what that means, right? GML clamp. I don't remember the order of the inputs here. Yeah, value, minimum, and maximum. So this is just 1. This is also just 1. So the house X scale is just exactly equal to the previous scale, which is used where? Just in those 2 locations. So let's just do that. Okay, where's this used? We can just hard code the 0 because we're not going to need to mess with that ever. Outline color is used in a couple of places, okay. Y scale, we said the house height was just 1, so where's this used? Yeah, so this is just going to be previous scale here. Okay. All that stuff makes sense. Look direction is again just 1. So where are we using this? Okay, we can just use previous scale here. And then that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Look direction is just 1. I think all of that is fine. Looker is just 1. Looker is just 1. Okay, that should be okay. Okay, I think that's everything properly, like, renamed and whatnot. I don't know. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, you know what? Sig Enderman, if you are willing to, I can maybe try and show off the jittering that I was talking about earlier. Okay, that looks like it worked, but you know. How large is the snail? 1920. If we subtract, I don't know, like 16 times preview scale, I'll just assume that the snail is like 32 by 32. Let's see where that places it. Do I need to be on? Yeah, you would need to be connected. So if that's not possible, no worries. Okay, that's not quite right. I'm trying to make it so that the right side of Shelly lines up with the right edge of the window. So I guess Shelly's not 32 pixels wide. Guys, how wide is Shelly? I could have sworn it was 32. Yeah. Can we look at player base? I think there's a sprite for that. Player base. Bubba base. It's 64? Width is, width is 60. The origin point is 31, 32? So it's not even in the middle? Bruh. Okay. That's fine. What? Oh, I forgot the T. Custom. No, that says custom. Custom, there we go. Give me the draw. Okay, I guess I'll try 32. Maybe that'll be close enough. Nope, sorry. What is this jitter? So it's only really noticeable if two players are running side by side. But it basically makes it look like one of the players is like jittering in place. It's not fast enough for me to want to describe it as like a vibration, but it does look like they move back and forth a little bit. Okay, so I'll just let's do 30. Let's do the actual width. So then this is 1080 minus 30 times preview scale. And then I also just want to subtract 100 from that, right? Just so that it's not like in the very, very corner and it's a little bit outside of the corner. Let's see what that does. What is it? Oh, there goes Shelly. Why does it look like that's not actually 100 pixels away from the edge? Am I crazy? It looks like it's closer to the right than it is to the bottom. Like, it looks like it's not evenly spaced there. Hang on, can I make this full screen? You see that? Like, it's the gap between the right side of Shelly and the right side of the screen is smaller than the bottom of Shelly and the bottom of the screen. Why? Could you be quiet? Is it? It's because the origin point isn't like technically in the center of the snail. Dude, why did they do that? The sprite is 60 by 60 pixels, and they made the origin point 3132. What? Like, come on, bro. Why? Make this windowed again. How do I account for that? I would need to, we basically want 60 minus the actual origin point, which is 31. So this would be 29. And this would be 28. Let's see if that fixes it. You're right, aka not crazy. Okay, cool. Good to know I'm not crazy in this scenario. That looks better, but it still feels like it's closer to the right than it is to the bottom. Did I do my math wrong? Oh, because the sprite doesn't actually take up the entire thing. I should have opened this in a new tab. Plate or base. Open a new tab. Here we go. It's like, oh, this is really hard to see. Oh, hello. But like, export all frames. Heck yeah. Put that in my sure. Include padding? Absolutely, because I need to do some math. Okay. Give me... Oh, we put it in a folder? Okay, weird. Okay. I need to measure the right side of, like, the actual image compared to the right, or like the right side of Shelly compared to the right side of the edge of the image, right? Because like you can see it doesn't actually take up the entire bottom of the sprite. It's like offset here. So then like so what even is the number that I want here? It's 29 minus the difference between these. So this is what? This is pixel number 57. And the edge of the image is 60. So there's 3 pixels. That doesn't seem right. Is that a distance of 3? 1, 2, 3. It is. Okay, so there's 3 pixels there. So it's 29 minus 3. Guys, help. What's 29 minus 3? 26. Okay. And then it's 28 minus, what is this y? 52, so 8? 28 minus 8 is 20? Okay. Let's see if this looks better. That looks significantly better. Now the right side of Shelly seems like the appropriate distance. That looks good. Agreed? I think it looks pretty nice. We can be Ghost Shelly. I am Ghost Shelly now. Okay. Phenomenal. Now that we have the menu swapping and we've got this preview, we can make this menu just a little bit bigger. It would be cool to have reset values button, I think. I could do that. So the way that I did that in like the way that it is now is it's just always the top left option. If you pick the top left in all the categories, it just goes back to the default color. Now, if you're using like different color schemes, then this is like the default color in the default color scheme. So like color schemes don't necessarily work with it. But yeah, having a dedicated reset button could be good. For the sliders I meant, or maybe not, I guess. I mean, yeah, like it depends. Like if I want to put the sliders at like these colors, then I think you're right. I think having a reset button would be good. It's probably fine. I disagree. It's not fine. We need a reset button. Sorry, I did all of that work to get Shelly to show up correctly, and now I'm kind of wondering if it would be funny to have the preview mirror the actual Shelly. So like as you're running, the eyes on the preview would like, you know, tilt backwards. That'll be a future thing. We can do that in the future. For now, this is fine. But it does mean that it makes it better to, or easier to like edit things while you're in the pause menu, for example. Okay. But I think all that's fine. So I'm going to save that actually. It is in this draw, and then I remember I have to get rid of this, otherwise it gets mad at me. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I can get rid of those files because I got the measurements that I needed. Okay. That's all fine. That's all fine. Okay. Yeah. No, so what's interesting is, like, for not that one, this one. So for this, right? It's like, in order to make the customization menu invisible when I want to make the network manager visible, I have to locate the instance of the customization menu. Now, when it compiles, it just turns that into an ID, like it turns it into a hard-coded ID. But because the ID changes between Will You Snail version 1.42 and version 2.12, in my actual like repository code, I have to write out the name of the object. I can't just like directly and copy and paste this, because this ID is going to change depending on what game version it compiles for. Not like a super important thing, just an interesting fact that I kind of wanted to share. Thank you for the hydrate. I feel like it would feel more janky. Yeah, but it would be funny. I feel like with projects like these, you know, funny does play a factor. Wow, I had a lot of tabs open. Okay. Okay, so we've got the preview. Let's now expand this menu. Excuse me. Because we can now actually make it the entire height of the left side, which is 1080. So that should just be the gray rectangle that shows up. The fun factor TM, exactly. I mean, especially with a project like this, it's basically just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, or you could do this thing? And then it's like, yeah, it would be cool if that happened. I should just do that. And then it happens. Okay, so now the gray rectangle takes up the entire area here. This F1 to close, what is that value? Like, how high up is that? Because I kind of think it would be cool to match that height. It is at 1062. Not your average height, but a height nonetheless. Okay. Now that we have all this room, we actually got to figure out what to do with it. That could be an issue. More free screen real estate? Exactly. Now that we don't have that pesky network menu in our way, right? It just goes away. Okay, yeah, so now the F1 to close and the F2 to close text is at the same height. Cool. Now I've got all this room to play with. What do we actually do with it? Oh, snap. I just read Sig Innerman's message in the Discord. Sweet. Okay. What are some features that realistically could be added? Let me show you my document here. So, again, don't pay attention to the stuff at the bottom. Why did it... Can I not just, like, zoom in on just this? Oh, I can. Okay, there we go. Go away. Don't pay attention to these things down here. Don't worry about that. So one of the things that RGC suggested is showing the enemies, like anything that could potentially kill the player that moves. So like in the spectator view, you know, you've got the spikes and everything. Where's the level with spikes? Okay, yeah. So you've got like the spikes and stuff, right? Anything that doesn't move shows up in the spectator view. It would be cool to show some of the other moving things. So like fish, jellyfish, the bosses, the lasers, like in chapter B, like these lasers would turn on and off. So it would be cool if all of that stuff actually showed up in the spectator view so that you could, you know, see why somebody died, for example. That's like, it's high up on the list, but it's not actually priority number one. It's like more like somewhere down here. Because that requires a lot of planning out, like collecting and sending and parsing the data. So it would be cool, and it's technically possible, but it's like very low on my list. Saving settings, or you know what, I can just go down the list. Clean up server constants, that's just like a cleaning up some of the code in the server. Race start countdown. So this is a feature that I think would be cool, where basically you would just have, like, in a new save file, there would just be like a number that appears right above, you know, like somewhere right here ish. And it would just be like 3, 2, 1, and then go. And it would just be like text. One thing that I was thinking about potentially doing with that is preventing player movement while the countdown is going. Kind of the problem with that is, like, you know, who gets to initiate that countdown, and what happens if some of the packets get lost. Then it's like, okay, if the player's movement is locked and, you know, some packets get lost, then you could potentially just be stuck and not be able to move at all. Which, you know, we can just omit the feature where it, like, prevents movement and just trust that everybody moves at about the same time. But yeah, at least having the text above all the players, I think, would be cool. Do you think the leaderboard could also have a timer that updates not constantly but delayed, but decently regularly, to have an idea about the players' times? So again, like, the problem with that is that there's a difference between in-game time and real time. If all the players start at approximately the same time, then that's not like a huge deal. But if somebody starts their race like 15-30 seconds behind the person who started first, then updating the leaderboard in that way kind of becomes not straightforward. It would take in-game time into consideration. Right, exactly. So, like, if somebody's in Chapter E and somebody else, or I don't know, like, if somebody's in AO5, for example, and somebody has just now started their race, you know, like 30-second time gap-ish. That's not actually like 30 seconds if you're doing a real race, but, you know, you get the idea. If there's like a 30-second time gap between when somebody started the race, how are you supposed to make that difference? Right? Because if I start the race 30 seconds behind and I complete AO1 in 3.33 seconds, what's the difference supposed to be there? Is it supposed to be 33 seconds because I started 30 seconds behind? But that would be real time. So if we take into consideration in-game time, I would only be behind by however much it took the first player to complete AO1 30 seconds ago. Subtracting in-game time, it's not that easy, unfortunately. Believe me, I have spent multiple hours trying to come up with solutions to that exact problem, and it's just not something that I think is possible. So then, yeah, the race start countdown, the de-jitter. So I have an idea for this, and we're going to have to, like, do some debugging and take some measurements and stuff to make sure that my idea is actually, like, something reasonable, but I have ideas for that. Save settings. So, like, right now, if I edit the connection, it always defaults to this, unless I change it to, like, testing the connection. Then it'll always be that, unless I close the game. If I close and reopen the game, then this will get reset to whatever it was default. So this 127.0.0 number. But I would really like it if it saved something like that. So this would include like the name that you set for the player, all the colors, all the opacity and scale and all this stuff. All of that could be saved to a file and loaded up when you start the game. I think that would be pretty cool. So then you wouldn't have to like redo all of that stuff, which kind of goes along with what Glitch asked in the Discord, which was if we could have the dedicated server autofill. I'm not a huge fan of just having that particular server be what autofills, but we could make it so that just whatever you were last connected to is the default when you open up the game. So then if you were connected to that dedicated server and you close the game, then the next time you open the game, it'll just automatically do that, which I think is a decent compromise. Select racer and spectator seems really nice. Yeah. So this one, again, last stream, I did all the math to figure out where the camera needs to be. Literally all I need to do is make the buttons so that you can actually like click on a player and follow them. And then the custom color sliders is what we're working on right now. Kind of. I mean, really, I'm just trying to figure out where to lay everything out here, but yeah, that is all the future plans that I have right now. I think I'm trying to keep track of them, but sometimes I'll have an idea and then I'll forget to write it down. Server launch parameter to limit player count to below default. I would not be opposed to that. Excuse me. could be relatively easy to implement, I think, if I remember everything correctly. The only issue would be, like, what if you host from the game instead of a dedicated server? Then it's like, I don't know, I guess when you hit the become host button, there could be a pop-up that's like, hey, how many players do you want to allow? Maybe. That might be a bit annoying, but if you do want to implement something like that, then I feel like it's kind of necessary. Or I could also make it just so that, like, it could be like a separate button, maybe. Edit max players or something. I don't know. Might be a little bit weird. Maybe keeping it server-side as a more in-depth setting. So, like, you're saying only allow that to be in, like, the dedicated server code here. So, like, as part of this, the arguments that get passed in along with the default port, you could, like, also pass in the maximum number of players or something. Or maybe it could be in a settings file. That might be better. Advanced. Yeah, that too. Oh, so, like, I would just have, like, an advanced button in this menu? Is that what you're saying? No, the server thing. Okay, so it would only be in the dedicated server. I don't know. I feel like... Because, like, that is a feature that I could add to just the in-game hosting. So I feel like if I do add it to the dedicated server, I kind of should add it to the in-game hosting. You know what? It gets put on the list. This list is not in order. Max player limit customization. It's on the list now. It'll get implemented eventually. I don't know when, but it'll probably happen if I don't die first. Okay. What do we do with this menu? We've got all this space, but, like, what do I do with it? It's kind of weird because I've got 5 of these colors that I need to put. They're not all gonna line up horizontally. I think there's... I don't know. Maybe there's enough room to fit 5 side by side down here. I feel like I don't really want them side by side though, because, like, all of the UI that I made is basically fake. All I'm doing is checking to see if your mouse position is in a certain location and whether or not you're clicking. Which means if I hold my mouse button down and slide it all the way over here, I'm now adjusting the name scale. So it doesn't like keep track of, like, what input has focus. It just checks your mouse position. So I'm kind of hesitant to put a whole lot of sliders side by side because of this exact thing. there's space for the color picker. Is there like a color picker thing built in to GameMaker? Hat selector? Yes. That is one of those ideas that I had, and I forgot to add it to this list. Show correct house with gun. I'm adding this one too, because currently if you pick up a gun, then other people cannot tell if you have the gun or not, because you're always going to have like this default shell. But I think it would be cool to display that, so I'll do that along with a hat. Make it so clicking on one of the colors above changes the select color for the picker that is always in the first half of the free space below. Oh. Damn, that's a good idea. So if I make like a ginormous color picker here, and then yeah, I just have like 5 buttons to select what attribute you're changing the color for. So I move all of that to the bottom half, and then this top half is freed up to widen these sliders and all of that stuff. I kind of like that idea. I'd put hats in the second half. Oh, we're already thinking about putting the hat selector here. Okay. We can worry about the hat selector when I actually implement that. Let's maybe first figure out how we should do the color sliders. Make it half separated vertically. Vertically. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of that. Keep the buttons where the current selection is. I'm not sure what you mean. Do I have... surely I have MS Paint on here, right? Okay. I was about to say I'm turning into Pirate Software, but that's not a good thing, so I'm not going to say that. So like I'm imagining... Why can I not see my cursor on the... Okay, there we go. So like you'd have... So imagine this is the right side of the menu, right? So I'm working over here in this left area. So I'd split it in half like this, and then I'd split it in half again like this. So then here would be the leaderboard stuff. That's a really long L. Would be the leaderboard stuff. So you'd have slider here, slider here, slider here. Here you'd have other players. Slider here, slider here, slider here. And then here you would have the player. And you could have like... If we add hats, then we can like, I don't know, section this off and have hats over here. But you'd basically have like slider, slider, slider for the red, blue, and green. And then you'd have buttons that would select like the name, the outline, the shell, the eyes, right? Stuff like that. I do the color square plus hex. Wait, could I actually just legitimately make like a color circle? I would 100% need a shader, and I'm not making that. So never mind. Never mind. I'm not doing that. Because, like, you see, like, this icon up here? It's like this. Like, I could, in theory, make this. But 100% I would need some kind of a shader to get all these gradients and everything. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Ask someone who's more unemployed. Ask RGC. I feel like RGC's got enough things to do. But yeah, no, for now, since we don't have the hats, I think this will just take up the entire bottom half. So these sliders will go like all the way. And that'll give us plenty of room for the buttons as well. But yeah, when we do add hats, I don't know, we can figure out somewhere to squeeze them. Omega? I'd figure proof it for hats, honestly. Less work later. Less work later on. How much room do we have here again? Honestly, I feel like we have enough room up top, so like it's like instead of splitting the top section in half, we could split it into thirds. So then you'd have leaderboard, other players, hats. That's the widest H I've ever drawn in my life. And then the player down here. Because, like, we really don't need a whole lot of room for either of these three things. But we do kind of need enough room to at least have, like, the label, name, outline, shell, eye, body, right? So I feel like we need enough space for that. And then we could also... Yeah, because like with these sliders, you don't really need to know the value behind the scenes. You can just like look at the slider. But I feel like with RGB, I should also display the actual RGB value that's associated with it. That way, if people want like a very specific color, then they have those values to look at. So that would take up a little bit of extra room. You know, say like the slider takes up only this amount of space, and then you've got, you know, the values over on the right here. And then your buttons up here split up in some way. Hats could ever be quarter of the width. Yeah, so like we make this section even smaller and then split this more in half a little bit. Could do that. Can you increase the leaderboard max name text by 1 letter? Why? I think technically I can. But it's at 10 right now. Sig Endermaw. Would the values be typable? I kind of want to avoid that. I would really, because unless I make an in-game text editor, I have to basically have this pop up, and I really, really don't want to have this pop up because it freezes the game, which means that if you're already connected to somewhere, it'll assume that you disconnected if you take too long in this window, because it freezes the game. You're no longer sending packets, so the server will assume that you disconnected, which is kind of lame. And B, if you're in full screen mode, then you have to tab out and tab back in. So I really don't like these menus. And if I can avoid them, I would love to do that. But I also really don't want to make an in-game text editor. Didn't RGC have some sort of UI system? Probably, but I think it was probably written in a different language, and it was like injected in a special way. Which I'm not necessarily opposed to. It's just not at all what I have currently set up. But the leaderboard is already at 10 characters. Like, I kind of need to keep that a little bit small. Do I? I mean, I do need to keep it small in terms of like, because if I give you too many characters, then this menu starts to overlap with the actual leaderboard text when you make it as big as possible. Like, I could just lower the maximum scale then, but like, It'll still show up like above your character. It gets cut off on the leaderboard. But I think this is good. What was it? Shellworks, I think, was made by RGC. That had an interesting like overlay. Should you start prototyping an initial look in game? What do you mean? Shellwork uses a UI thing, which I think is based on something. I don't know, you should ask him. I think isn't it based on like I Am GUI or something? I feel like it has a similar style. I mean, start modifying the UI. I don't know. I just don't feel like I need like a complicated setup to just have what are basically buttons. Because like I really don't think that it's necessary to have a text editor just for the RGB values, especially when the sliders are going to be like basically the entire width of this thing. I mean, a little bit shorter so that I can actually display the value text. But like when you've got this much room to work with, I highly doubt it's going to be difficult to get the exact values that you want, you know? That's kind of part of the reason why I wanted all this space too. Because I mean, there's only 256 different values that you can have. Like, it's fine. Surely if you want 1 instead of 0, you can just move your mouse exactly 1 pixel, right? Who wouldn't have a problem with that? Who would have a problem? You get the idea. Okay. So we're 960 pixels wide. That divided by 3 is 320. which means this leaderboard text, we're center and middle. So this is going to be, what did I just say? 320. All of this stuff can be moved over to 320. This is a little bit, this text is tilted. I don't know, I can fix that in a second. 320. Other players, that's going to be at whatever 320 times 2 is, 640. Wait. No, I have to divide it by 4. Yeah, I have to divide it by 4. What's 960 divided by 4? 960 on 4. I can't do math. 240. Okay, let's try that instead. Okay, this is at 240, that's at 240, that's at 240, that's at 240. Is this right? I don't know, man. 480. That sounds right. Let's just see where this shows up. What if the color picker square was a texture and you just calculated the color with the mouse position? The texture is just representative, but it looks the same in the end. I am shocked that I didn't think of that. That is... that's really smart. Yeah. We could just do that. Although it does make it a little bit harder if people do want an exact value. It is going to make that a little bit harder. Okay, that looks approximately like it's broken up into thirds, right? It is still kind of cramped. Why does it feel cramped? Did I do my math wrong? Hang on. Let's move the sliders themselves along with the text here. Also, the values would still be precise if you make the texture high definition and the mouse calculation is good, I think. You can also keep the sliders below the square. So I would want the square to take up as much space as possible, right? So if I had, let's say, the square like here, this is a rectangle, but you get the idea. And then what? Like the sliders be somewhere over here, the text value display here, and then you'd have the buttons to select which attribute you're changing the color for. Something like this, maybe. Sure. Yeah, because if we want to allow somewhat of a precise selection, then I feel like we'd have to make it as big as possible. How much room would that actually like take up if it was a true square? I mean, it'd be 1080 on 2. It'd be 540 pixels. How wide is this thing? .960. It's like it would almost take up half. It's like it would actually extend out to here. I mean, there would be a bit of padding on all the sides, but Maybe that's fine, actually. I'm not opposed to it. That's certainly not small. Exactly. It would be larger than the Shelly preview over here. Like, that's how big the color selector would be. I mean, I can obviously make it smaller if that's like overwhelming, but I mean, how much? So I wouldn't need the word color under each of these. I could just say like name, outline, shell, body, eye. I'm just trying to think if like we would have enough room for all of that text in a reasonable amount of space, and I think we would. I don't think it would look too cramped. Also, I can't help but feel like this F2 to close text is not entirely aligned. Maybe it is. What are the actual values for this? This is at 480. This is also at 480. Okay, so I'm just blind. Why does it feel like this has so much more room on this side? Like, why is it not all the way over here? I don't think I did my calculation wrong, did I? What's... No, yeah, that should be right. I think that's right. I think I'm just crazy, maybe. And then the hats would be over here. And then the player, which I have here, the Y value would be... Oh, I'm gonna need to recalculate all the Y values because these got like kind of weird-ish. The texture idea is the best idea I've had in like 3 years. I actually thought of that. I'm not used to thinking smart. Oh, come on. You got the dedicated server up and running. I mean, sure, you made some mistakes, but who doesn't? I'd say that's pretty cool. Okay, I mean, the X value should be fine. It's just the Y values. So how do I want to deal with this? So I've got... How many elements do I have? I've got the name of the section, the name of the category. I've got 3 sliders, and I've got 3 labels above each of the sliders. I want there to be an empty section below, and I want the title to take up 2 sections. So how many sections is that? That's 2 plus 6 plus 1. I think that's 10. No, it's 9. Okay. So I need essentially 9 sections, which means I do actually need to divide the height by 10 in order to get the actual Y value of each of the sections. So for the text leaderboard, we are essentially taking the height of the entire thing, which is 1080. We're dividing that in half because we only want to worry about the top half. And then we need to divide that into 10 sections, or 9 sections, which means we divide this number by 10. And then in order to get the Y position for the leaderboard takes 2 of these sections, which means we take this number and we multiply it by 2. Except the text should be in the middle of both of them. So we would then need to divide this number by 2, which means we're multiplying by 2 and then divided by 2. So I can just get rid of that. So we're at a new y value of 54. And then we would need to do a similar thing here. What is the actual height of each of the individual sections? So it's what? 1080 divided by 2, and then that number divided by 10 is 54. Okay. I am dumb. That's the number that was right here the whole time. Okay. So this needs to be actually is it 1.5 sections below the title? So, I mean, that's 54. Yes, it's 1.5 sections. So whatever 54 times 1.5 is, I don't know. 81, sure. 80. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay. So 81, and then each of these are one section below that. So 81 plus 54, and this is 135 plus 84. No. I need to include each of these things. So 81 plus 54 is 135 plus 54. This is 189 plus 54. 243 plus 54. 297 plus 54. 351 plus 54. That's maybe a little bit concerning. Oh wait, no. This is the next category. Okay. So these should all have the same y values as up there. So this is 81. This is 135. 189. 243. 297. And 351. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. This part is certainly painful. It is, yeah. It's sometimes fun, but if you get the math wrong and you don't know why, then it's just pain. Okay. That looks fine. Oh my... Steam, go away. Go away. I need to look at the menu. Okay. Does that look right? Maybe it just looks weird because background opacity takes up 2 lines. Because, like, yeah, this one looks like it's appropriately spaced vertically. I feel like I'm crazy, though. Why does this one seem so far to the right? Like, there's so much more space here. I feel insane, but the math works out like that. Does it work out like that? So if I have... I mean, I need each of the sections to be... So, like, these three columns, right? This column, this column, this column. I need those to be of equal width. So their widths are... So the width of the whole thing is 960. So their widths need to be 960 on 3. And then in order to get the middle of one of the sections, I need to divide that by 2. So I think I just did my math wrong. So it should be 160. So this should be 160. I did do my math wrong. Okay. So this X value is 160 for all of these guys. And then we're adding the width, which is 320. Yes, that makes sense. And then eventually we would have another column for the hats. But okay, that should be good. Let's check that. So remember where this is. Now let's see if it's placed a little bit more spaced out. That looks a little bit better. Now it look... Steam. Okay. Steam. Why did the menu go away? Why did it go away and then just... It came back just to spite me. Okay. It looks a little bit weird because I feel like halfway is like way down here. Not sure. Like, I just feel like there could be a lot more space here. Maybe I also did my math wrong for the vertical? Not sure. I mean, horizontally it looks like it's better. Because, like, as soon as I expand the width of the sliders, then it should fill in this area. Why the other D in the title? What do you mean? Why the other D in the title? Oh, in the title of the stream? Just because. I'm modding. Okay. Do we need this to be transformed? Yes, we do. We just don't need it to be tilted. We want 0 degrees of rotation. I have to have done my math wrong there. Because this does not look like it's vertically spaced correctly. Because I feel like the halfway point is all the way down here. Like, that doesn't look right. What the heck? Oh, I know why it doesn't look right. Wait, do I? I have to have done something wrong. I just don't know what. Which is exactly the scenario that I explained is painful. Okay, yeah. 54 times 1.5 is 81, and then you just add 54 every time. But how it's not to go all the way down? Maybe it would help to draw a line that's basically in the middle. So if I did like draw what is it? Rectangle? Yeah, draw rectangle at an x value of 0, y value of 1080 on 2 minus 10 let's do minus 4, and then the width of it is going to be 960. The height is 8. False, because I want it to be filled in. I think is that what that represents. I don't remember, but okay, so this should draw a very thin rectangle directly in the middle. That is not in the middle. I cannot help but notice that that covers a little bit more than what I was asking. What did I do wrong? That should be the right y value. How do you use draw rectangle? I thought it was x, y, width, and height. No, it's x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. Yeah, that's fine, but then this is gonna be 1080 on 2, and then whatever that is, plus 8, plus 4. That's what it was. Okay. Now let's try it. Thank you for the hydrate. It was needed. Okay, there we go. Now we got a line down the middle. It is not properly vertically spaced. I don't... Okay. Not sure what I did wrong with my math. I definitely need 10 sections. No, I need 9 sections. The height of each section is 1080 on 2, because that's the first half, that's the upper half, and then we want to divide that by 9, which is 60. So the height of each of the sections should be 60. So like the so like this text, background opacity, that should be a height, that should take up 60 pixels vertically. This slider should take up 60 pixels. This text, 60, right? All of these should take up 60. But I don't think they're doing that currently. They're taking up 54. Why are they taking up 54? Who knows? Because I did my math wrong somehow. I say somehow as if it's a mystery, but I know exactly what happened. Okay, so now 90 plus 60, 150 plus 60. I should be able to do this in my head, right? 210. This is 270. This is 330. This is 390. Okay. And all of these should be the same. So 60, 90, 150, 210, 270, 330, and 390. Okay. Quick maths. Yo, what's up, man? How's it going? In some time, I'm gonna have to go. Tomorrow, I'm doing a barbecue with my friends tomorrow, so I'll wake up early. Nice. I'm using a barbecue grill, homemade, out of a metal barrel. Nice. Sweet. Dude, I have been craving barbecue. I don't have it a whole lot, but when I want some, I really want some. Okay, that still doesn't look right. Something about this just doesn't look correct. Yeah, but no worries if you've got to leave. I appreciate you getting the server set up and helping me figure all this out. I am noticing this stream a bit late. We're gonna have to take some points away from you then. You get fewer stone points now. You can keep your crayons, but your stone points we're gonna have to confiscate some of those. What exactly is the large snail for? It's a preview. So if I pick colors in this menu, it shows up here. And I did that because I made this menu larger and it sometimes covers up the regular snail. So it's just easier if there's a preview. It also means that when you're in the pause menu, you can still like look at what colors you're doing. Stone points? Yeah, the point system that I just made up 30 seconds ago. Duh. We are redesigning this menu because we want to, instead of having a bunch of colors to select from, we were considering having a giant like color selector square in the bottom right, so like down here, that you could click on and you could like select a color, right? Kind of like this. I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same layout as this, but something like it. And then you would have like RGB sliders. So if you wanted like a very precise value, you could mess with the sliders and get one of those. Minus 10 carats from you. That'd be cool. Yeah. That was one of the first things that Glitch had mentioned, was that they wanted specific colors and they couldn't get them because it wasn't available in these selections. So they modded their version of the mod to to add those colors in. But it would be cool if that was just part of the mod already, so we're working on that. But Amelia is missing. You know what? I've actually got a special place that I want to put that on my list of tasks, my list of things to do. So let me just okay. Okay. So why is the spacing on this not working? Did I do my math wrong somewhere? Probably. Better late than never. You know what? I'm gonna make a special version of the mod that's completely separate. It's got all the features and everything, but it also plays the gunshot sound effect and the "you will suffer" voice line just constantly. I'm gonna replace like basically every sound effect in the game with those two sounds, and I'm gonna call it the Mirhen version. And you can, it'll be just for you. You'll have your very own version of the mod. I want it to have synced. Okay, you know what? We could do that, but only the people with the special version of the mod will be able to hear it. I'll do it that way. What? What am I doing wrong? Did I 60? That should be right. I don't understand why. $30. Because I'm dumb. Okay. I need to add 60 to all of these numbers, which I've already done. So that's 150. This is 210. This is 270. This is 330. This is 390. And then this one is 450. Okay. That should be slightly more accurate. I multiplied it by 0.5 instead of 1.5. This is fun. I'm having a good time. What was this? 330. And 450. Okay, let's take a look. That's fine, but it has to be compatible. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be quite useless. Yeah, so people without the special version will still, like, send you some data for when they, you know, encounter Amelia, but only the people with the special version will actually hear it. I feel like Stone is particularly opposed to the idea, but I quite don't know why I feel this way. That'd be perfect. Okay. Should I just make it an in-game setting? We could just make it a part of this menu. It would just like a little checkbox that says, listen to Amelia die. That'd work as well. Perfect. This is fun. I'm having a good time. I am. Look, I got the vertical spacing correct this time. Whoa. Now it's actually properly spaced out. No way. I'm a genius or something. Okay. How do I make the sliders longer? I don't even remember what this function does. But it certainly exists. That's not the right function. Network manager. Did I even change anything in here? I don't know why this is open. I opened it on accident. I remember now. Okay, give me custom, create, open a new tab. Okay, what the heck does draw slider even do? So I've got a knob. That's good. What is arg0, arg1, and arg2? Okay, arg2 would indicate the knob's location. And then is arg0 just the left side and arg1 is the right side? No, it's the x and y coordinate. The width of it is hard-coded. Okay. So let's maybe extend that functionality then. And give it an arg3. And then we can say arg2, we'll replace that with arg3. So arg3 will be like the value between 0 and 1 that indicates how far along the knob should be. And then arg2 should now represent the width of the whole thing. So we can say arg2 divided by 2. Do the same thing over here. Arg2 divided by 2. This is just arg2. This is arg2 on 2. And then the rest of it is fine. I feel like I should make a variable here. Half width equals arg2 on 2. Whoops. And then I can throw this into here, that into there, into there. Okay. Now I need to update everywhere where I'm calling that. So these were by default 140. Let's try. What's 960 on 3? 320? 320. So let's try 300. Let's try 300 as the width for all of these. See where that puts us. Do I call this anywhere else? No, it should just be those 6 things, right? We shall find out. Hopefully the game doesn't crash. Listen to Amelia die. Absolute cinema. Checkboxes Mirhen mode MM. Perfect. Okay, those are some wide sliders that I can no longer interact with because I have not updated the code to do that. Okay. Maybe a little bit too wide, probably. So let's subtract. They were 140 before. Let's make them like 250, right? Give me this. I should probably make variables for all of these numbers, but that would be the smart thing to do. Which means I'm not going to do it. That's a little bit more reasonable. Steam, I need you to move out of the way for the love of God. Okay. So now that I've got more room, I can make the leaderboard and other players' text bigger. I don't know how much bigger, though. If I make it too big, it might leak over into the other columns here. Let's try just 1 decimal point bigger. So it's 0.6 now. Let's make it 0.7. Okay. Thank you for the hydrate. One hydrate for saying goodnight. All right. Have a good night. I appreciate you being here. Have a good one. Steam, Go away, please. Oh, that's cutting it close. Like halfway in between these two sliders. That's cutting it a bit close. I could put it on a new line, right? I could say other players. Still rooting for that extra leaderboard letter. Okay, but like, what happens when somebody with 12 letters in their name finds out that the limit for the leaderboard is 11? Like, I gotta pick a number somewhere, you know? I feel like 10 is a reasonable place. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put this on a new line here. That's not what I meant. I would have stayed for longer, but you started the stream while I was watching a movie. Happy development progress. Thank you. It's been going well so far, so hopefully that continues. Hope you enjoyed your movie too. Yeah, that's much better. Steam, I am gonna lose my mind. This thing is so annoying. Okay. So now our limit here is the leaderboard text. I don't think that we can expand that much more, but let's give it a try. Let's go all the way up to 0.8. See where that puts us. Just players, make it 12. But then the leaderboard takes up too much space. Then you won't be able to see the game. I can't make it that big. Dude, it baits me every time. I'm like, ooh, I can look at the placement of all of my UI elements, and then Steam's like, nope. Okay, that actually seems good. I feel like that's a good size for that text. We can also increase the text of all this other stuff. So let's try doing that. Probably not a whole lot though, but let's see. Let's just try 0.6. And I'm only going to test the background opacity because otherwise I'm going to have to copy and paste this number all over the place. Which I only want to do when I'm certain that it's the right value. I mean 2 characters. Yeah, and then somebody with 13 characters in their name is going to come along and be like, hey, why can't you expand the leaderboard? Because then it's too big. When you increase the scale, where's the slider? Where's the slider? It's somewhere. Okay. Oh, where is it? Where's the hitbox? The hitbox does not line up with the visual. So I'm trying to... There it is. So when the leaderboard is at its maximum scale, if you keep adding characters, it's going to get hidden behind this menu. And like, I've got to draw the line somewhere, you know? Like I could make the maximum scale smaller, but again, I got to draw the line somewhere. Sorry, homie, the limit is 12 because Jonas made it so you can't put numbers bigger than 12 anywhere in the code. Otherwise, the game just renders a banana. 2 more fits perfectly? No, because I need the button. I need a button next to the player's name so that I can track them on the spectator view. I need room for a button here so that I can click it and then track the player. Oh no? What do you mean, oh no? What's oh no? It's like it's fine. 10 characters is fine. And I forgot to look at the background opacity text size because I was too focused on adding characters to the leaderboard. No, this is fun. I'm having a great time. I'm so glad that I chose to stream this. God damn. Steam. It's rage baiting me. I swear to God. It's rage baiting me. Oh my word. Okay, let's try 0.7. We're doing the name scale because that's something that's not gonna get hidden behind the Steam overlay. You're right. Why is that? Oh no. Why is me being right a bad thing? Come on, man. You know what? I feel like that's too big, honestly. I think 0.6 is a good in between number. We'll do 0.6 everywhere. See how that looks. And then we can like move the player menu options around and stuff. Excuse me. Okay. That seems pretty decent. Ignoring the whole, ignoring this part, the player options that aren't supposed to be there. I think that's pretty good. We saved a space for the hat selection. I obviously need to update the hitboxes for the sliders so that they match the visual. But I think that's pretty good. I kind of like it. I also am going to need to actually like obtain a texture for the color square. Could be a color circle. We could choose whatever shape we want. Could be a color triangle. Although a triangle would be significantly more difficult to calculate the actual color because then I have to like deal with a triangular shaped hitbox and I don't really care to try and do that. So it's either going to be a square or a circle. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of the square though, so it might end up being a circle. Color hexagon? Oh god, no. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna try and calculate the hitbox for a hexagon. It's gonna be a circle, and players are gonna like it, alright? Color circle. Something like, well, no, that doesn't do like light and dark. Something like this. Color wheel. Wait, but that doesn't have black on it. I mean, that's fine. Nobody needs black, right? Nobody needs to pick black. I heart color. Yay! Okay. I don't know. I'll come up with something probably. Although you can't really pick black on this one either. Because there's like this other slider with it. Which is interesting. Maybe it does need to be a square then. So that you've got like basically your color spectrum on the x-axis and then your light and dark value on the y. And if it's like full y, then we just assume that it's black. And then all the way on the bottom is just full white. But then we could do, if we did the circle version, then you would have to click the exact middle of the circle in order to get pure white. So maybe the square version is better. We'll go with the square. I think it's probably going to be easier to calculate the color as well. I think the square is good. Brightness slider. I think just having like the y-axis be that is fine. You'll figure it out. Sliders still exist. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. I think that was good progress. I think that moving all of these UI elements and like changing all of this stuff is probably going to take a while. So I will either do that offline or in the next stream. I am going to go ahead and copy paste this into here so that I can save some of my progress. And I think we'll just call it there. Seems good. I think we made some decent progress. I mean, yeah, I guess the preview is kind of a big thing. I was gonna say all we really did was move some UI elements around, but you know, we also got the preview, which I think is pretty cool. And we got a design down for the whole thing. All right, sweet. W progress. For sure, for sure. All right. I'm kind of dark, aren't I? Haha, I've got... Wow, that is way brighter than I thought it was going to be. Okay. Yeah, may or may not stream tomorrow. I don't think we have Speed Sailing Saturday tomorrow, so higher chance that I'm going to stream. I will probably update the Discord. But anyway, that's going to be it for the stream. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here. Hope to see you again. Peace.